To the Evolving View, where it's all real spiritual talk with no filter. And I know that sounds a little scary, but
Don't be
no,
scared. It'll be fine.
But it's
no
us,
filter.
so it's cool.
It's gonna
We
be
got
great.
all kinds of feedback and all kinds of stuff going on. Okay. So our oh my goodness, there's so much feedback.
Volume, does that help?
Okay. All right. Hopefully that's going to work itself out better and we'll get it together. Oh my gosh. All right. So can everybody, can you guys hear me okay, Lori and Melanie? Okay. So here we go. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. Oh my gosh. So tonight it is the 2 L's and an M. Are your hosts tonight. We are trying to get our friend Annette to join us, but hopefully she will be here very soon. So first of all, we have our M. That is Melanie Rose. Melanie Rose is a very skilled, intuitive, psychic, and evidential medium, spiritual advisor, and animal communicator, which happens to be our topic tonight, which is really cool, right? So then we've got our L, 1L, the first Lori. Lori Sheffer is an Andean shamanic practitioner trained in the lineage of the Kero, as well as a psychic medium, vocal sound healer, and channeled writer. And then there's me, the other L, the other Lori. We call me LA. Right? My name is Lori Albert, and I am a spiritual medium. I'm an intuitive podcast host, manifestation author, and spiritual luminary. So welcome to the show. We are super excited to be here. And I will introduce Annette if we can get her on and with us. So our subject tonight, it's very exciting. Our subject tonight is animal communication. And I couldn't be more excited about this because the idea of animal communication is so amazing because we just don't know, or like for me, I know that I can communicate with spirits, like human spirits that are on the other side. But when you think about connecting with animals, I feel like it takes on like a life of its own. It's like a whole separate thing. So what do you guys have to say about that?
But different, if that makes sense. For me, like I don't know if we're talking about the whole process of it, but I think it's really exciting just to know that the thing with animals is that they're very much more aware than we give them credit for. I believe 100% that they know what's coming way before we do. Like intuitively, they basically know the future. They know what's coming for us. It's fascinating. And I actually pulled a couple of books that I've read that I love that can give more detail. But Lori Sheffer, did you have something else to say?
Yeah.
I feel like I interrupted you.
I always joke. I always joke when I hear animal communication because I communicate with my animals all the time and they're alive, right? But it's, I think it is important to just point that out when we use the term animal communication. We're talking about communicating with animals once they have crossed over. Though psychically, there is a whole thing around communicating psychically with your animals, and so that is important to do it. I wouldn't say animal communication is not my primary thing or even like secondary, but it does come in sometimes. It's like, and I find when it does, my own animals that have crossed over are there to assist. And that is how, it comes in for me. Some people, their animals are just such a huge part of them that you can't help but see the animals.
True. And when I'm doing actually readings for people, I'm an animal person. They're oddly not with me right now, which is so weird. Like usually there's like all of them behind. Like I think they're with my son, which is perfect. But because I said watch the dogs. But they like you said, there's a psychic factor to living and past animals. And when I read people, um, without fail, if there are important animals in their lives, they pop in. Like all of a sudden, I will never forget I was doing one of those psychic fairs, and it was my first one. I hadn't done it, and I was like, well, I'll just give it a shot. And I was sitting there nervously, and I usually just ground myself, and I'm like, I welcome in like whatever these people need in this moment. Let me be the medium, let me give them what they need in this moment. So I was sitting there, and usually I just get kind of a bump where I'm like, okay, I got some stuff going on, and I'm waiting, but I wasn't feeling anything. And I was like, come on, man, sitting there like someone's going to come and sit down pretty soon, because it hadn't started yet. And then I start seeing people come in, and I was like, oh God. And then I looked down, and there was a rabbit on the floor, a rabbit. And I was like, seriously? Like I really didn't know. And I was like, all right. And I've been doing this long enough to know that if I get a rabbit sitting there, doink, just walking, and I was like, okay, I know that if that rabbit's there, the person that sits in my chair, that's who the rabbit's for. Like I just, if I have someone with me, I know the person who sits in my chair will know that person. I just know that. So the lady knew the rabbit,
Oh,
so I was like, just real quick, did you have a rabbit while you were growing up? And she's like, oh my God, I did. Are you kidding? And I was like, no, he's right there.
oh
So like they do pop in when you're just reading people or doing any reading for people. Or gosh, I had someone's cat walk over my leg when I was getting a massage.
Oh my gosh. You mean a spirit cat, right?
A spirit cat. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't clarify. Yeah. And she was like, oh, that's a whole other story. We can, I mean, I could go on, but
that's the cool thing about spirit, whether it's animal or people, like they just pop in. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then there's the practice. Now, Melanie, do you also do the piece of working on healing with the animals that are alive? In the sense that I know animal communicators who also do animal healings and work with the animals psychically who are here to guide and assist with that sort of thing as well.
So here's the thing. You're gonna call me out now. Squad. No, I don't care. It is what it is. So I know that I'm a healer, but it hasn't been my but like as my kids were growing up and they'd be sick, I would just do things and they'd be better. And I was like, huh. And now I look back and I'm like, oh, like, so I know that I'm a healer, but it's not been my focus. And I want it to be, and I want to get into that, but I keep taking this class and this class about other things, and like there's only so much time in the day. But I have done some work on my own animals, and I think inadvertently when I do a reading and an animal pops in, or if I have done an animal reading, I think inadvertently I do healing without that being the main focus, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so so when I started looking back and I thought, oh, I was intentionally healing my kids when they were sick, toddlers, and not really realizing what I was doing. When I started figuring that out, I was like, let me just try this. So one of my dogs, her name is Ruby, she's passed now. She had a cyst on her side, like a bump. And I was like, okay, like let's do this, So I would just, do my thing and like put my hands on her and like really focus about, the healing of this, the tissue healing, this being reabsorbed and removed and whatever. And it went away. And I was like, that's crazy, because she had it for so long. And the doctors were like, oh, it's just a fatty thing, you know, and those things, they stay forever. Like they just, unless you have them removed. So shortly after that, I went to a Reiki practitioner, and she's like, oh, you know, giving me, you know, energy, doing Reiki. And she's like, yeah, you have something on your side. And I was like, what? And she's like, you have something on your side. I know, and any Reiki person is going, but like, that's weird. And she's like, let me, and I said, well, get rid of it. And she goes, I am. Like, give me a sec.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was like, she's like, you know, have you done anything? And I was like, oh, you know what I did? I did do this thing on my dog, and like it was like right here on the side. And she's like, that's where it is. She's like, you have to let it go. You have to release it. So like I need a little bit more training to know to release those things. And but like, so yes, I am aware that I can do that. No, I have not done a big focus on healing. But I know I can do it. And I'm really excited to get more into that.
What's the craziest animal that's ever popped in for you? Like I don't know, snake or a pigeon or whatever. I don't know. I don't know why I said pigeon.
Probably, I would honestly say probably just that rabbit, because I was sitting there and I was like, really?
Yeah.
Like a rabbit, you know? And then you sit there and I was like, I'm not going to say there's a rabbit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that. And then I'm like, I have to say it there. Like it was there and it wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, I have to say that, like, I'm not holding that back. And it was hers, obviously,
Yeah.
but probably the rabbit was the thing. I actually went to a farm once and bred animals.
So much fun.
Yeah, it was interesting, but sheep, chickens, two female chickens who were both pretty jealous over the rooster. they both wanted more of the roosters.
That is just awesome.
No, I swear to God, they confirmed it.
Oh my
The owner confirmed it, and I was like, okay, you know,
that is too funny.
horses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We had a dog. A friend of ours had passed away, and she had 3 King Charles Cavaliers, and so we took one, and we were all teachers, and she died like 3 months before her retirement, and it was this accidental thing, and her dogs were with her when she died, and so we got her middle one, Winnie, and Winifred Louise. And Winnie was, I think, 5 when we got her. And Winnie had these big eyes, you know, and Winnie would stare off in the distance sometimes, and she would just have this gaze, and she would just stare off. And you knew it was like that she was seeing her mommy. And I mean, it was like when he was there and not there, and she would just do this whole thing. And it was so like evident to me. And so I was just beginning my journey into mediumship, and I was like, Barbara, are you there? You know, and it's like I could feel it. And like Barbara had come in, and so Winnie was doing the work, you know. It was like here was Winnie communicating with her mommy and bringing her in. And that was really where I saw the power of it. And now we have my brother who passed away, his dog in Pomeranian, and I've noticed that same gaze sometimes. And it's amazing. So, you know, so their ability to communicate goes many different ways.
Yeah.
They too can communicate with the other side.
Okay, so well, here's my question though. So you guys, I always have a weird thing to say, right? You know, so
okay.
my dog, he was, oh my God, he was 18 years old when he died. He was very old, right? His name was Clifford, and he was like my guy. He was totally my guy. He's never come through. Like he never has come through to other, because I go to development circles where there's all the mediums around and stuff, and nobody has ever brought him through. Now, why would that be? Did he hate me? Did I irritate him really bad at the end? Like, was I such a bad dog mommy? I mean, you know.
But I mean, you know this because you know, he could be busy doing other things. Like what would you tell a client if they were like, my mom has never come through. Does that mean she's not with me?
No, I would.
Like, does that mean she doesn't love me? You know what I mean?
Exactly. I would never say no. She's not. She doesn't love you. Of course not.
I'm gonna be funny. This is funny. This is what I'm seeing. You're gonna crack up. So he's overfed, and he, and so he's like, he's just so content. You did such a good job feeding him, and there's this contentment. Then the joke is, well, I can't run fast anymore. I just
Well, the first thing that I was seeing was I just saw like a brown like actually not as an old dog, but as a young dog. Was your dog brown?
He was that like tan. There's Annette. Yay! She's here. Yay! I'm so glad she's here. So no, my dog was like dark tan and sort of brownish. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say like what I was seeing when you were just speaking was not an 18-year-old dog. It was more of a floppy, like not quite a puppy, not quite an adult, sort of like long-legged, like don't know what to do with your long body. That's what I was seeing initially. Yeah. But I think that if they're not coming through, they're just not coming through. Yeah. Like
I know you can't make it mean anything, because as soon as you start making it mean something, then it messes with your head.
Yeah. Well,
right.
That's true.
But and the thing is, like, we know that they're not coming through because they're angry. They don't like you. Like that, we know that's not
like that. Yeah.
But we also don't always know why they don't come through.
Exactly.
Like I won't pretend that I know why, because I don't. Yeah. But I do know it's not because of a lack of love or something like that, or so I can't say something I don't know.
Yeah, right. Of course.
And some come through and some don't, Lori. So, that's the other thing. Yeah. So I think he's just so content. It's like, at this stage, he's like, yeah, hey, Mom, I'm seeing over here.
He was so, oh my God, he was, he was just a big lug, I mean, he was great, but, so before we go any further, I want to introduce Annette Green. Yay, she's here. She had a few little technical difficulties getting here, but Annette is a level 1 Qigong teacher and RYT 200 Kundalini yoga and trauma-informed yoga teacher, amazing, as well as a certified circle leader for the Sophia Code. So yay, you made it. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad I'm here too.
We are having those moments of just, the whole, what am I trying to say? We're talking about animal communication. So that is what our subject is tonight. So I have a question for you, and I'm sorry, Melanie, all these questions are gonna kind of be for you because you're like,
hey, I know I was kind of ready, and I was like, well, shit. All right. Let's do this.
But you had mentioned earlier, when we were talking about it earlier, you had mentioned that you sort of have maybe a little bit different of a preparation to whenever before you're starting to do animal communication.
So yeah, I have typically, if I'm doing an animal reading, I don't need a photo, but I prefer one just for an animal reading, because it just helps me tune in. And like I said, like the rabbit can pop in, like I get other things, but my preference is to have a photo, and then I can really focus on that. And then my process is where I focus on the photo, and I'm like a knower. I'm like a clairvoyant, ideally, mostly, like ever since childhood. I just like things will just be there and I'll know. So I'll write those things down as they come, and sometimes they come fast. And then I just kind of, there's a lot of different things that different practitioners do, but I just kind of like focus on my heart center. And then I send the love to the dog or the cat or whatever to their heart center and make that connection. And beforehand, a thing that's important with animals, I think, is that they're very loyal. You know, obviously our animals are our own. They live with us in our house or, you know, our farm or whatever. They have a part in our family. They're loyal. Before I do any animal readings, I make sure that the person verbally tells their dog that, or their animal, I keep saying dog,
Yeah.
but tells them that it's okay to share information with me
Yeah.
because they're very loyal. You know, they, you know, many animals will keep your privacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to share things about how they feel about you or how they feel about what's going on in their life or how they're living or how they're feeling until they have your permission.
Yeah.
We don't, in my opinion, we don't own them, but essentially in our society, they're ours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So before I would do any of that, I would always ask the owner to give their animal permission to give me information or just to share with me. And then I would send that love out to them. And then when I feel that connection, I'll start just kind of seeing what images I'm getting. Animals work in images. Like you get, they're not going to, I don't, when I'm doing a reading with people, a lot of times I'll hear something or it'll just pop in my head or I'll hear an actual voice saying something. You know, I'll be like, oh, I just heard this, you know. With animals, I don't really remember if that's ever happened. I don't think that's ever happened, actually. That's interesting.
Now,
But
I have picked them up, just the information just coming into my
Yeah,
brain. I've
me
got,
too.
you know, things
Oh.
that way. You know, but yeah, well, it's you know the claircognizance. It's the idea that the words are coming in, you know,
right,
psychically.
knowing, yeah,
The knowing, yeah, if you wish. And so it's just there. It's just in my head, and
Right.
but there's no, it doesn't come as pictures. It just comes as information, and
Yeah.
I'll get it. You know, so it's funny. I think it works different for everybody according to how we interpret.
Yeah.
You know, and work with it. Yeah.
Of course, because everyone has like, I'm more of a clairvoyant than probably other things, but you may work different. I mean, you do a whole different thing than I do. So
Yes.
as individual as we are, as people, as mediums, it's going to be individual.
Yeah.
I mean, I read a couple of books and I took some classes and there's another woman that says she, I can't remember. I don't like I always say, my brain doesn't work that way. I don't remember stuff like that. But a woman said that she would imagine a little door on the animal's head and open it, and then imagine herself really small and jump right into their
That's so
brain.
cute.
Right, so that she can see, and many times if you're really good, you can see from their view and their point of view, or you can feel a collar around your neck.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's fascinating because they'll let you feel how they feel.
Yeah.
Like much like you would feel how someone in spirit would feel.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
That's really fascinating because like the times that I have brought through dogs or cats or that sort of thing, I feel like that it would come in not necessarily clairvoyantly for me. It comes in clairsentiently. So I'll feel the cat, like, you know, kind of smart alecky. Let's just say, you know, or like I'll like, I'm just saying, whatever the you know, like my cat, when my cat was alive, she was very like, I am the queen, leave me alone, you know, kind of thing. And so like, I know that kind of like vibe, right? But then sometimes I remember this one time I was in a development circle, and this little white dog was going in between all of our legs and all around us and all around us and all around us. And I was like, who has the dog? We need to like figure this
out. Let's acknowledge the dog.
Right? It was so cute. It was so much fun because we were just able to, you know, play.
Yeah. And really, I think, like, in my opinion, I think that they come through just like any other spirit. They come through how they know you will receive it best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, you know, as spirit, they know us probably better than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they will come through however works best for you. I had, like I was saying before, I was getting a massage essentially. And, I have this big fat cat and I love him. His name is Moses. He's orange
Moses.
like Garfield. He looks like Garfield. And he had this big belly and he has like that extra skin that hangs. So if he walks over your arm, you like feel his soft belly. You know what I mean? It's just a weird thing that I love about him. So I was getting this massage and I felt that walk over my leg and I felt the belly, like my foot, and I felt the belly on my leg. And I was laying there going, that's weird. I was like, her cat must have gotten up. And then I was looking and she had two big boxers, dogs.
God.
And I was like, nah. And I'm thinking like, there's no way this chick has a dog.
Yeah.
I mean, a cat.
Yeah.
Like she's not a cat girl. But I was like, what? I just couldn't figure it out. So finally I was like, do you have a cat in this house? Do you have a cat? And she's like, oh, I don't like cats. And I said, no, like I would stick with it. Like if I know, I know. And I said, no, you had a cat. There's a cat in spirit, but it's in this house. And she's like, no, it was a brand new house, brand new build. They didn't even have grass. And she was insistent, no. And I'm like, did you have a small dog? It's like a big cat. He's like, and I'm like, but I feel it in this house and I don't know why. I don't understand. Like I'm trying to figure this out. So what it ended up, and she was like, no. And then a little bit later, she's like, oh my God. He's like, we had this cat at our old house. They had the cat at the old house. They didn't want it. It just kept showing up and it hung out with their dogs. Like it thought it was one of the dogs. And I kept getting drawn to the corner and I was like, huh. And I said, but you never had the cat in this house. Like it's here. And she goes, no, he's never, he died at our old house. Yeah. And she goes, here, I have his ashes right here.
Oh my God.
I was like, that's the cat.
That is so funny.
I was beside myself. I'm like, the cat is in this house. Like,
that is hilarious.
I can't know he's in this house. And then she's like, oh, I have the ashes. And I was like, honey, that's remains. But it was, and she's just like, oh, and she's crying. And oh my God, I loved that cat, blah, blah, blah.
Aww.
But at first, she was insistent that she, but it was this cat that just hung out with her giant dogs. Like,
I love
like
that.
he was one of them. So
Yes.
that was
so
that was
before we
cool.
go any that's so cute. Before we go any further, I just want to say that we are all practitioners on this amazing website called evolvme.com. And we are in the beta version right now of this, but I'm here to tell you that the full-blown version is coming up really soon and you need to check it out. It's all things metaphysical and it's going to be it's like Etsy and California Psychics and Insight Timer all like kind of blended together. So I just wanted to say that if you have any questions, feel free to write it. I monitor the YouTube, Evolvme and my Restream. So if you're on any of my stuff, you can check, you can type in a question. So there you go. I'm so sorry, Lori, you were going to say something.
Oh, I think it's gone now.
Sorry.
I was just, I think that this is a wonderful, topic on so many levels that we can go to. We can talk about animals in our dreams, because for a lot of people who are, full-blown psychics and who are, beginning to expand their intuitive things, animals will come to you in your dreams. Yeah. And that is one of the places where all of us, a lot of us can say, oh yeah, I remember when, and that they are trying to communicate with us. And so the place to do that, because it's the in-between world, is through the dreams. And so for those of you out there, if, you may have a story about that or something for you, and it's a place of comfort right after they die, when they show up in our dreams and you get to see them. And they, so that's something. I don't know if you guys have ever had your animal show up in your dreams.
Never had an animal show up in my dream. No.
I don't know that I've had an animal show up in my dream, but my mom had a dream about a little. Okay, so we had to euthanize her cat. He was like more than 25 years old,
Wow.
and
Oh my God.
yeah,
That's
and so so not far after that, my brother passed away, and so I was talking to my brother through a medium, and my mom had told me that she had a dream that this little kitten, a gray and white kitten, had come to the door.
Oh.
And so, so I called my friend. I was like, "You got any gray and white cats around your neighbors?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, actually, there's a mama cat that she's gray and white, and she has some babies that are mostly gray." And I had asked my brother when I was talking to him through the medium. I said, "Can you?" Imbue some of your spirit in a cat and help it find its way here. And so when she said she had this dream of this cat, and then I called my friend and I went to go pick the cat up, and the cat was like immediately attached to my mom.
Oh my God.
And I mean, they're really like this, like they're so close together.
Aw.
And, yeah, and so my brother chuckled when I asked him that, and he's like, "I'll do my best," and that's like something he can really say, like, you know, "Geez, you did a really great job." Like,
yeah.
they're
You nailed it. Well, yeah, and the other thing is like we have, like we you know float around in our spirit families, and we have like our not guides. Oh God, who's your why am I blanking? The
Our
like
spirit guides? What do you mean?
no, not spirit guides. Oh my God, like when you really love someone and you're like their
Kindred?
person.
Oh, they're twin flame.
Yeah, like that, like twin flames, or your things like that. Like we float around in our things. Animals very much do that too, and they are right in there with us, and very, very frequently from all sources that I've ever looked into, and our animals come back to us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they come back to us as another animal.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I
agree
always look at my
100%.
animals like, who are you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when I was a girl, we had this dog, and I was allergic to dogs, so the dog had to stay outside. It was like a huge a mix. It was like a husky mix and everything like that. And that dog would howl for me when before I got off the bus. The dog knew when the bus was coming and would howl for me, and and we had to be careful with her because before we got her, she had managed to get the taste of chickens and things like that. So you had to make sure that all those sort of things. And so I had to take her walks on this big, leash. I'm 10 years old. And she would do things like see a pheasant and suddenly pull me, and I'd be on my belly in the snow as she's pulling me, all these things. And, but, we had this, and when I would feel sad, I would go to her and I would cry, or I would tell my story, and I would do that. And she died when I was 22. But when we got this dog, I think when I was about 34, 33, 34, I swear to you that my dog's name was that she came back in this other dog, in Misha, who was also a German Shepherd mix type. And Misha and I bonded so deeply. It was this incredible bond. And that I truly believe heart and soul that came back to me in the form of Misha. And because I had this really bad car accident then, and I couldn't walk, I had to learn to walk again. This big dog was so gentle snuggle with me. She'd get up on the bed and she would
Aw.
snuggle. She never ever would hurt me, and I could walk around crutches because she wouldn't pull me. I mean, it was that, and it was like, yeah. So I fully believe in animal reincarnation completely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always hope for it.
So I have this friend who is she's an animal, like it's fascinating. It's like she does distance Reiki on animals. It is the coolest thing. Like she's got all these clients. You know, some are as a matter of fact, Annette, that reminded me, we want to hear your story about the horses, right? The horse, right? But she works on horses, she works on dogs, but she never touches any of them. Like she never actually
Yeah.
goes to them. And these like her clients swear by her because she is that good at what she does. So she like talks to them and they say, you know, and like she'll know, like, you're allowed to have, I'm just making this up, like ground beef, but you can't have fish. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that sort of
Right,
stuff. And this dog needs, or cat or horse or whatever, needs, you know, this vitamin, that sort of thing. She's amazing. And I didn't even know that was possible to do, you know, but that's a really cool thing too. Like animals are so special.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
So.
I aspire to be that good.
When we got
Once I get, you know, more into like the healing side of it, I would love to do that because it's very much possible. I just want to have the knowledge before I jump out there with it.
Yeah.
And it'll come to you, Melanie. It'll,
yeah.
know, as you take it'll come to you, you know. So yeah, so when we got Misha, who was, I felt, the reincarnation of, you know, she was,
I love the name,
like,
you know,
like Juneau, Alaska. So that was, you know, yeah. And so anyway, we had to, she would pull you, right? It was really hard. She's German Shepherd mix, so she's very stubborn. So I got that book that the Monks of Skeet, I think it was called, that talked about projecting this is back in the 90s, in that you have to project when you say something, a command, when you say something, you have to project it. And this one, and I'm telling you, I took that to heart. I would be like, you know, working so hard to project, sit, you know, stay, don't you run.
Yeah.
It has to be simple projections. It has to be very simple. And you have to picture it in your head when you are giving a command. You have to literally transfer this information visually to the dog.
Yeah.
And that was before I was even knew I was a psychic or anything. And it was, but I took it to heart. I like read that book front and back, and really, you know, I need to do some of those lessons on my current dog. But, you know, it's like, yeah, I believe it's so possible. They are very tuned into us.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. Now that you mention that, I'll just mention that with, you know, when people are like I said, animals work in pictures, as far as I know, in my experience. So like people are always like, oh, why won't they listen? You know, if you think about it, you're like, get off the couch, you know, and you're picturing them, you're looking at them on the couch, you're picturing them on the couch, and they're like, what? I'm doing what you want.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You know what I mean? Don't do this, don't do that. And you're picturing it, and you're unintentionally sending that to them, and they're like, what do you want? You know, but that's why I think like a lot of animal trainers will say, tell them what you want to do, not what you don't want them to do. And I think it's because they've realized that when you tell them what you do want to do, like they don't know, you're actually picturing, like you can practice with your animals. If you really want to practice, just sit quietly, connect, like send love from your heart to their heart. And when you feel like you have a little connection, just sit quietly and imagine, get a picture in your head of your dog sitting next to you, and just really focus on that. And then imagine sending that to your dog and see if they come and sit by you.
Oh, that'd be so cool. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Try that,
I love
you know,
that.
or, you know, something similar than that. And you can just see what happens.
Yeah.
It's a good psychic practice
Yeah.
too, anyway, to really train the mind. And, you know, being a special ed teacher, this last dog we got, who's now 5 years old, a Labradoodle, I was, you know, practicing all this, and I realized, oh, there's not much difference between this being a special ed teacher and training a dog, because you need to break things down into very small components. And no, and I don't mean that bad.
No,
I mean that
I
Totally
totally
understand.
get it.
small chunks, very small chunks when you're
Yeah.
teaching, and you have to be specific. You have to, you know, because part of the training of special ed teachers, you know, how you break things down into easy little, you know, and that's what you do with dogs. You're not going to say, get over here and eat that bone. You know, no, they're going to hear bone, and that's it. But that's what I realized. And with that, the visualizations are just like that, Melanie. It's like one thing, one picture. So you're right, like right here, you know, you picture that next to you, or so if you picture couch, you can bet you're going to get a couch. They're going to go to the couch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was just thinking back to my dog that I was just talking about, Clifford. And I remember when he was maybe like, I don't know, 4 years old, he was sick, and I was trying to remember why he was sick, because I was giving him Reiki to make him feel better. And I was trying to think to myself, why was he sick? I forget why he was sick. And then all of a sudden I remembered this dog would eat paper, like
Oh,
paper
yeah.
all the time. Like if there was any kind of paper, it would be gone. Like I'd have to like grab it away from him, like, you know, grab it out of his mouth, right? But
Yeah.
when he was like really young, we didn't know that that's what he was doing. He ate like almost a full, and he was fine, obviously. So I'm giggling now because it's hilarious. But he ate like on almost a full cardboard box. He ate, and of course, this would be my dog, right? You know.
That's
So
a lot.
I know. Well, you know, I mean, it wasn't a huge cardboard, but you know. So we took him to the doctor, and I mean, he was fine. And then we learned what we needed to do, you know. But I remember giving him Reiki, and I could feel like the heat, like, and it was almost like in my head, and I didn't know what he had eaten, but it was almost like I could see and feel the like whatever was in his stomach, like it sort of disintegrating. So it was just
Oh,
really kind of
nice.
like it was
Yeah.
like that was my first time I ever realized that you could actually work on animals, because something just came to me, give him Reiki, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Fine. I will. Hey, so before we were talking for this show, we were discussing animal communication, like what we talk about on the show. And Annette said that she had a good horse story,
Yes.
and I want to hear that.
We want to hear the horse story.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, we have to hear the whole horse story. We're not going to hear. You're cutting in and out.
Okay, so
We're losing
oh
you.
darn.
No, I think you're back.
Yeah.
Can
Keep
you hear
going.
me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what to do.
No, we can hear
okay.
you. We can hear you a little bit.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay.
Try it, and then we'll
Better.
see.
Oh, very pet lover. And she has she
Oh man.
has a real
It's
Yeah,
not
no.
working.
affinity
We can't
and
hear
her
you.
whole life mother thought
Darn.
oh, I don't know what to do. What can I do?
I don't know. See, now it seems
Yeah, now I
fine.
know.
I don't know how to make it better.
I don't know, but
No,
just stay right where you are. And tell us.
Yes, don't move. Don't talk. I think you're good.
Oh, she just froze.
Okay. Don't move.
Oh my gosh. Well, while we're
No.
trying to get Annette like situated,
Now,
if you have any questions for
Yeah.
Melanie or for us, please feel free to type them in. We are monitoring. I'm monitoring YouTube, the Evolvme YouTube. So if you have a question, you can type something in there.
I have TikTok.
Oh, you've got TikTok. All right. Yay. We've got it all covered then.
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah, I'm real curious, everybody, if like you have a story where you have like, you know, felt the energy of your dog or different things, or your children, because we know how sensitive our children are from a young age. And so it might be fun, you know, like I know that I have particularly, I think of one niece in particular who was able to see very early, and I don't know if she also saw animals. She saw, you know, people, but possibly animals as well. So I'm sure that there are a lot of you out there who have your own stories about, you know, animal communication and seeing your, you know, your pets after they've crossed over, or someone else's pets.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it. Like, throw it in the chat, and hopefully we'll get it. As well as a lot of people, I know there has to be people out there, because people always have the thing where you're sleeping and you feel your cat, your spirit cat, jump up on the bed. Like, I've had that so many times, where to the point where I've like, you know, been like to move them over and there is nothing there, and I'm like turning on the lights going.
Yeah.
No.
Ours is like, we have the vinyl flooring, you know, the not vinyl, but they're, you know, the fake wood. I forget, I don't know what it's called. But Clifford would always have his, now we had another dog and I had a cat too, but for some reason Clifford keeps coming in my head. But he would we kept his nails kind of not long, but you know, so they would go tick, 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 like when every time we would walk. So after he passed, I felt like I missed that, you know, like, oh, I don't hear him, you know, whatever. And then sure enough, one night I woke up and I was like, tick, tick, tick. I was like, wait, what? Where is he? And it was so cool to hear that. So actually he did come to me. Yay.
Yeah, they will let you know. They'll let you know they're okay. My sister's dog passed, and I was in my house and I heard him bark, and I know it was, he has a specific bark, and I heard him and I was like, all right, I know it. I heard you.
Yeah.
You know, so they'll just let you know that they're still around.
And we have a dog right now, a 16-year-old cockapoo, who's starting to get pretty, you know, towards the end. And yesterday I looked over at her and I saw this dog. I was telling you about Misha, you know, because Misha had, we got Stella when Misha was about 8 or 9 years old. Misha was not happy about it. And, but I saw Misha and I saw her standing next to Stella, and I went, you know, my heart stopped and I was like, okay, don't do this, you know, don't do this, you know, because I'm like, oh my God, Misha's coming in. And I was like, just stop that. You know, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. That, you know, that's a piece too, that they are, you know, when they are getting towards the end, I think it's really important that we communicate with them our love, and we let them know, because it's hard on us, right? Losing a pet is they're our family. And so letting go can be really, really difficult. And I'm sure many of us have shared the same thing, where it's like, we have to reach a point, we have to tell them it's okay to go, because they're holding on for us. They, you know, they have a job, and their job is helping to take care of us, and so now it's like, it's okay, you know, and that is tough. And I do believe that our previous pets come back to assist them to cross over.
Yeah, I
absolutely
totally agree. So Annette, what do we think? Do you think you can tell us your story now? Let's try.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so my mom is a horse whisperer among other animal whisperers, in that she has such a strong connection to horses, and they love her with their whole hearts. And so her horse of 25, almost 30 years, that she got when he was 9 months old.
Oh my gosh.
She would teach him things, like she would have him back into the trailer, just to have him back into the trailer, just to show that he could do it, and show her that she could teach him how to do it. And he remained a stud his whole life. And he just, like, he would eat out of her hand. He would, whatever she would say, whatever she would teach him, he would do. She would actually teach him to say his blessing before he ate his food.
Oh my God.
And he wouldn't even put his head down.
That's so cool.
She'd
Oh,
say, son,
oh,
thank you for the food. And then she'd say, okay, that's great. And so then he put it, and then she'd say, now give me a handshake. And then he put his paw up and give her a handshake, and then he could eat his food. And so there were all these things that she would teach him to do. And people were just so amazed because she would just talk to him, and everything she said to him, he understood. So when it came to the point of him, he got cancer. He got some kind of cancer. And so she talked to him for a good 2 or 3 months, just telling him that, she knew that he was sick, and, things were getting really hard for him, and how much she loved him, and he would, always be in her life, and that, she was going to help. We were going to help him to feel better and to not have to be in pain anymore. So the place where she had him stalled, called the horse veterinarian, and so they were going to put him to sleep. So it was a very emotional thing, and the other horses that were there in the same barn stalls that he was in, like they literally, when we brought him out, they literally like stood in repose, just like was like honoring of him. It was the most beautiful thing.
it's like they knew.
And yeah, it's like they knew. And then over on the other pasture, there were other horses that came from out in the pasture up to the fence, and they all just kind of stood around and like really in a sort of reverence for him. So they told us how, everything was going to happen in the first shot and the second shot. And
That must have been terrible.
He didn't fall. He just gently laid down. And
you did say it was a tearjerker.
Oh,
I did.
And animals do know. That is not a surprise. They probably knew way before any of you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful story, sad story, but beautiful.
So he laid down, and here's the catcher of the whole thing, was he actually taking his last breath, he galloped, and you could see his spirit leave his body. Like, oh my God.
Oh, I just got goosebumps.
It was the most beautiful thing. It was so beautiful, so beautiful. And he galloped. It was so graceful. It was just like he was in a wide open field, just full on.
So like he was laying on his side, kind of galloping. Is that what you've? Oh my God.
Yes.
That is so nice. God.
Wow.
Yes. And we all just like, we watched his spirit leave his body.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That is amazing.
So the question is, does your mom dream about him?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
There's been a couple of times that she told me she dreamed about him. But she hasn't told me like recently any dreams that she's had about him, but she's told me this has been like 7 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And in those 7 years, she's told me a few times that she's dreamed about him. But now it's like when she says, I really want to go ride my horse, I know that she's she's dreamed about him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes me ask this question. We were talking about this. My friends and I were talking about this yesterday. So we know, like you were saying about the other horses, it was like they knew, and they were standing there just like honoring him and that sort of thing. So let's just say that you're in a house and there's two dogs, okay? Like I had two dogs, and the cutest little beagle you've ever seen in your life, he was only 5 and he got cancer and he passed, right? Like within like a minute, 2 weeks. Okay. So from the minute we thought something was wrong to like the time he passed was like 2 weeks, which I'm happy for him for. So, but anyway, it was like I was curious about, like, did Clifford know? You know, like, did the other dog know? And it's interesting because a similar thing just happened to my friend. And it's like the dog that is still here is like a different dog, you know,
Mhm.
like just so how much do you guys think that they like know? You know, or to that end, do you think that they like talked about it before one of them passed, or like in their head, or like how did they talk to each other?
I 100% believe that they know.
Yeah.
It's my belief that if you're single and you have a dog and they know before you do, before you ever meet this new guy, they know who's coming into your life. Like they have an awareness of future happenings,
Yeah.
just the same way that I might.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't
Mhm.
they?
Yeah.
But they have,
But how did the other horses really know? Like, was it the energy was shifting a little bit? Because of course, you know, I'm sure you guys, and Ned, I'm sure your whole family was just very sad. So did they pick up on that energy and then they it's that energy of death or something? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, how do they know this?
well,
We know that elephants have, do this, right? We know that elephants grieve. And so, what comes into me is the intellectual size of the brains have something to do with this, right? On some level, like we know elephants really grieve, that's a process they do. So horses who, you think of the size of their brains, this is intellectual, this isn't intuitive, but it's like the idea I would, make the assumption that those things, do impact it on some level. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would think that that impacts it too.
Yeah.
well, and also you have to think about animals in general, animals out in the wild. They are very sensitive to like chemical things in our body. They're very sensitive to pheromones, their sight, their visual, their auditory. Like those are all key to their survival. You know, and our animals in the house, they don't have that as much, but they still have it. So like, and that's amplified. So they would know in many ways. They could probably as well as some type of psychic link. They would know by pheromones. You know what I mean? Like not very spiritual, but they'd know by the animal's pheromones, or their smell. They smell different. We smell different when we're passing or when we're ill. And animals have a heightened sense of all of those things. So even just in that way, they would know.
Okay, so
As a psychic, like I think.
okay, so then to further that question, I'm getting real deep now.
Oh boy. Let's go.
Are they on, like, even when they're here on Earth, are they sort of on another plane than we are?
I wouldn't say another plane, but I believe that just the same as I can shift my consciousness, they can as
shift
well.
theirs. Yeah.
Probably better because it's more natural to them, where humans fight it. We
That's
fight
true.
it like,
You're so right.
I don't really know that. I don't really know that. Oh God, should I say, the rabbit. I'm not talking about the rabbit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very much
They're all energy.
Yeah.
Right? They're all energy. And I keep often in conversations I've never said, but I keep going back to, the guy that did all the experiments on water.
Oh yeah, the doctor. I have that
energy,
book.
Yeah, and me too. I get, and and you think about that, and that everything is energy, right? So what we put into it. So therefore, we're energy. The animals are energy, and when we leave, that's the real question: is So do dogs always stay dogs? Do cats always stay cats? Humans stay humans. You have people ask you those questions. You guys ever had that?
Yeah.
I've had people ask me that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so
I do-
fascinating because you think, how do they, how is it that animals really communicate? Like,
I think I really believe it's
It's
spiritually, psychically, it's their senses are way more heightened than ours. You know, they're very extra sensory just in their being,
yeah.
you know, and then on top of that, like I'll tell my horse story. I actually went to horse, not horse.
I know. I was like, horror story.
Horse. I know. I was like, gosh, it sounded like I said something different.
Oh my God.
My horse story. So I did go to this farm to read this woman. This woman, her sister owned the farm. It was kind of her farm, but her sister was kind of running it. And she asked me to just come and see what I would get, and I was like, great. So I just went out to this horse field with a notebook, and I was like, I just need some time. And actually, when I went there, I went up to, you know, she was walking me around, and like the chickens came up to the gate, like they knew I was coming. And like when before I was going, I was like, okay, guys, you know, like give me what you need to, you know, what do you need to share, you know? And I walked up to the sheep gate, and there was like the most dominant sheep came up, and he like huffed, you know, like huffed at me, stomped his feet, and he like, you know, snotted and whatever right up to the fence, and he was like, oh, and she's like, oh my God, he's never done that before, and I was like, it's okay, it's no problem, and I just looked at him and I was like, yep,
You're
got
so
it,
calm.
gotcha. You know, he's just trying to say something. And then he walked away, and she's like, I don't know. He's never done that before. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's fine. And then she showed me around, and she had all these horses out in the field. And I was standing, you know, I just asked to have some time in the field, and I was just taking notes. And the most dominant horse came out, or actually, no, one horse came out, and it was standing there staring at me because, you know, obviously I'm this strange woman in their horse field.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap, you know, because they were big. But I was just like, okay, you know, it's all good. We're just hanging out like it's me. And then the most dominant horse ran over and ran in a circle around that horse, and then stopped and looked at me. And I was like, I got it. You're in charge. Got it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Got it. You know, and they looked at me for a while, and one came over and smelled me, and then they walked away. But what I got from these horses was the dominant one did not want them to tell me anything because she was owned by one of the sisters who was a little bit more feisty, shall we say.
Oh.
The other horses told me that they're excited about new babies. So I was like, okay, someone must be pregnant. Great. And then they told me that another mare had a baby, lost it, and she was unable to have babies anymore. And then the sheep, actually, while I was there, the sheep told me that they needed to get out of that field or they're going to start getting sick. Like there was something with the field they needed to get out or they were going to get sick. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
And I went to, you know, ultimately told the two ladies, I said, well, you know, they're excited about babies. Is someone pregnant? And the girl said, oh, you know, we were going to bring one of them to the stud, but we haven't done it yet. And the other sister said, I didn't tell you this, but I brought her without telling you, and she's supposed to be in heat. So, and then they started fighting, and I was like, I was like, so anyway, there was a foal born, and you know, was there one horse that's no longer able to have babies? And they're like, oh my God, they're like that foal.
Yeah.
She said they had this difficult birth. They had to pull the baby out. Her insides were like torn up, and they were like, that foal is buried in the field that you were in.
Oh.
Like the foal there. And I was like, whoa. So they're very, and actually when I left, they're very, I mean, like they're telling me this whole story. It's just like reading a person.
Yeah.
Like they're very actively involved in each other's lives. And that horse that they were talking about was not even in the field. She was in the farm, so they're just amazing. And, when I left, I didn't really, what I should have done is, and I'm going to tell you another thing where you're calling me out unintentionally, but you really need to stop the reading and sort of cut that energy, release the energy and be like, okay, thank you. I didn't do that. And I was driving home and I kept getting sheep. That sheep was just like up my ass. Right, so I had texted a little bit later and I said, hey, did you by chance did you guys move those sheep? And they're like, oh, my sister doesn't want to move the sheep, they're still burr, burr, burr. And they didn't. And I was like, gosh, I really think they need to be moved or something needs to be done, otherwise you're going to start losing sheep. I just wanted to let you know. And and then she texted me like a week later and she said, hey, they had a vet come out and there was clover in that field and the sheep were allergic to it. So they moved the sheep.
Oh, good. Thank God.
They were getting sick. Yeah, they were getting sick and they were starting to get very unwell and they moved them. So it was legit. You know what I mean? I was like, I never would have, I don't know what sheep are allergic to. I have no idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
It's not in my knowledge base. But very cool because they can sell. And that sheep, that one male sheep was so adamant. Like he came at me and he was like, say it, tell them, we need to get out, and I got that, but I didn't, at that moment, I didn't have the whole story.
Yeah.
Later I did.
Yeah.
But, so I love animals. They're so knowledgeable and they have a vast knowledge. I've even read about, animals who have known when someone was coming into their life, their owner's life, when their soon-to-be partner was coming into their life. It blows my mind, and I don't pretend to understand how things work or why they are that way, but I 100% believe that they're just incredible.
No, I worked for 10 years for a school called Green Chimneys, and Green Chimneys is a very special school that is the main campus has a farm, and we actually have camels and camels and llamas and goats.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Peacocks and you name it, we have it. And we also have they're a wild for birds. They're a refuge. When when they've been injured, they come and they do the whole thing with them. And I worked for the smaller school that had a lake and a nature thing, and we had the llamas and stuff. And we also had a dog program, and so they would bring up 4 dogs at a time from the south, from the kill shelters, and then the dogs would stay with us for 2 months, and the students would train the dogs, and the dogs would be with us in the classrooms and stuff like that. And my students were 7th and 8th grade, neurodiverse, on the spectrum, emotional issues and stuff like that. And what you saw was, so once a week I'd bring a dog in, and you could see that these dogs they knew which kids to stay away from. It was interesting watching some of the kids. We would always have this one kid, and that dog would just not go near that kid and wouldn't do it. And then, but there'd also be kids who were in just in emotional states, and that dog would just go right there. Always just go right there. And or every week, so the kids have nature and farm classes, and so they literally are they have relationships with the snakes and you name it, the llamas, the whole thing, and they have jobs. And you're amazed by this kid that maybe earlier in the day was absolutely having major emotional issues or sensory issues, and suddenly they get down to farm. It's like, boom, and it's such a drive for these students because they want their time with the animals. And we have horses there, so there's that whole horse program that they have, and you see how much the animals make a difference in their lives. And these kids are neurodiverse, and you also see some of these students really communicate with these animals. And I had one who he was doing something with the goats for a science project. Goats or sheep to, this whole thing about if they can understand you and things like that. And I really like, it works, and the animals are beautiful, and they have such an ability to really connect with, with people with emotional issues and, sadness, all of it. And I think that there's so much we don't know, and there's just so much that we're just beginning to understand. But it's like you look at therapy
Yeah.
animals and the difference that therapy animals make.
Well, I was just thinking too, the hospitals, they take dogs and cats and they have animals, that go into the hospitals to help the kids, the children's hospitals. And oh, you know what I just remembered? And there's this big kerfuffle going on by my house over here, right? And this makes no sense to me why anybody would be upset about this, but whatever. There is a new like cafe, where it's like you get your coffee and then you can go in and play with the bunnies. They have all these rabbits and you go play and you can go play with the bunnies and they're up for adoption. So how there's anything wrong with that, I don't know. But, I think it's cool. And you know what? If you need to ever feel, that's like awesome to think that maybe there's somewhere you could go to just relax yourself. Some people don't like the term meditation, some people don't like that stuff, but so I don't know. I find it awesome. I think that that's
Yeah.
great. Because again, it's that unspoken language. It's not even a language, but it's that unspoken energy between the whether it's between the animals or between the animals and the kids or just between all of us, I find that to be
Right.
so fascinating. And one other thing, and as you were talking, I was thinking, oh my gosh. So let's see, how long ago was it? Maybe like 22, 24 years ago, I started to meditate. And before that time, I was, I'm just going to say I was really stressed. So if you guys think I'm high energy now, you shouldn't know me back then. Right? Right. So I started to meditate. And but before I started to meditate, I wouldn't be able to handle being around animals. I always felt like that this is before I developed my gifts and all that stuff. But like I would feel like that there was like I was scared of them. Okay. And that's kind of a key word. Like I was scared that they were going to be aggressive or they were going to do whatever, right? But then I started to meditate and I started to slow down. And then right after I started to meditate, I started developing my gifts. And from that time on, whenever I go over to somebody's house, the animals just come up to me and it's like they're my best friend. And it is so
Yeah.
amazing because it's, again, like you're just saying, it's about the energy. There's energy and the energy exchange that you have between yourself and animals or yourself and other humans for that matter. Isn't that fascinating?
Right.
I just
Totally.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And Lori, what you were saying about your kids, they're neurodiverse. So they each have different things going on. So if you think of what kind of pheromones they're each putting off with, and those kids are extrasensory in different ways.
Yeah.
So like animals can sense that they can smell
where
they're at. You know what I mean? The pheromones, like they just on top of everything. So like I could totally see that because like when you have these, diverse kids with all of these different things going on and they're extrasensory and the animals are extrasensory, like kids and animals, it's just like I could just see how they could bring down a kid's anxiety level or whatever they're going through in the moment because they'd be able to know what it is. Where takes us.
And while they're doing that, they're also building confidence. This is the coolest thing, right? They're bringing down the anxiety. So when you think about it as, from this intuitive state, so our anxieties are raising, and all that. And so our confidence level is very low, our belief in ourselves. So what happens is with the animals, you're becoming more comfortable with this animal, and this relationship is being developed, and the confidence of the child, of the students, is increased, right? And you're watching them increase. Now I would go into the nature room with them, and we have this amazing teacher, and the snakes would come out. Now I'm not a snake person. I just have to confess, I'm not. Now I have to fake it when I'm around the kids. I would never let the kids know that, because if the kids knew I didn't like snakes, I would be doomed, right? We know that, right? And so they come over, they're so loving with the snake, and I'm like, check out this snake, and I'd be like, oh, I got a call, I gotta go right now.
I can see that though, because you when their anxiety level goes down, and you have the opportunity to like compliment them on that, and like be like, oh, you did really good there. You know what I mean? And like that sort of thing. So
yeah, it makes sense. So now they've got the animals, and here they are down at the barn, and the farm teacher is teaching science through the animals while the animals are present. And you're able to see the kids pick up on things and really get it. Not only is it hands-on, but also the nature of, can you imagine learning and having a llama like 3 feet away from you, or another animal, like, and so it's this sort of environment that they're in. It really does. And in all my years teaching there, I was always just amazed by the difference that and I swear by it. I swear that, I know that not everybody wants an animal in their home, and I get that, but it makes a huge difference.
It really does. Like in everything, I think. Even though, like, at this current moment, I have a puppy that's driving me crazy. But she's so damn cute as well. But they bring it.
Yeah.
Okay, so why am I like, so Laura, you just brought up an interesting point too. Why am I so scared of snakes? Why do they freak me out?
Tactile, right? Well, I mean, I think of, that I don't know. And I try not to be, for that to be there. I think it is part of, I think back, my mom was petrified of mice. And so, the moment, like, God bless my sister. My sister is a natural around animals. And here she is, a little girl, bringing in this little mouse. Mommy, look at this mouse. Well, my mom flipped out. My mom absolutely went berserk on her. Said a few choice words and get that thing on it. And I was thinking, and if my sister's watching, I acknowledge your trauma there, my sister. And it's like, right? And I think it's passed down, because mice, I don't particularly like them. And so when the kids would play, and when the kids have rats in the nature room and they want me to pet the rat, I'm like, I'm not petting your rat. You see that long tail? I'm not petting your rat.
What is with the tail? People are so weird about the tail.
It's the tail, but if you think about it, the tail is long and it's kind of like a snake. Just saying.
I think it's culturized in me. I think that for me, my mom, there's this thing that, I would watch my entire female family. I one time watched my 2 aunts and my grandma on top of the table at the cabin, screaming up there while my other aunt's chasing the mouse with a broom. And now I thought that was funny. I actually sat on my haunches and laughed at that one. But,
yeah, it can be passed down. Oh my God. Destiny Bruder. Of course, your dad is around. By the way, of course he's around. She asked, "Is my dad around?"
Oh, where do you see that? Because I've been looking at this.
On TikTok.
So it's on. Oh, TikTok.
Yeah, I want to say.
I actually get like a daddy's girl kind of vibe. Like I don't know if he ever tossed you up in the air, but that was the first thing that popped in my head. So, anyway, go on. I'm sorry.
I just want to say that I went through a unique experience in May and October. So my brother had these Pomeranians, and I've never been a small dog person, not that small anyway. And but my brother loved these dogs. These dogs were his dogs. And the one, and who's now ours, is this little red miniature Pomeranian named Foxy. And so when my brother was passing away, he was in hospice in the house, and we were with him. These dogs would always want to be with him, touching him, on him. Now the younger one could literally leap up onto the bed in his hospital bed and be on him. Foxy had to be put up there because she just couldn't do it anymore. But there was a competition that began to develop between these two dogs about, possessiveness of him as he got sicker and sicker. And what we found was Foxy started to separate a little bit. She started to pull away a little bit. Now the other one, Gizmo was on my brother when my brother died.
Oh.
Literally on my brother. But when after we were there for 5 weeks. So at one point, Foxy was, it's hard to say whether things were being blamed on Foxy or whatever, but there were things going on in the house, right? But my brother asked us to take Foxy. And at first we were like, oh, I don't know how this is going to work because Foxy is so attached to him. And I don't know how this is going to work and what we're going to do. And we were really nervous. So it was time now. My wife had to come back to New York, and we decided she would take Foxy then because it was going to be too hard for me to stay and to figure out to get Foxy back. And everybody was worried about, but it was weird. It's like Foxy knew something and understood something. So we put Foxy in my brother's, and I get really emotional because we told them we were gonna, because he asked us to take Foxy, and so Darius said I have to take Foxy home, and my brother was with it enough because he was starting to lose it, and to have this moment with Foxy. So Foxy came back here. And the amazing part was we expected more behaviors, but it's like she bonded in such a way that, and with me, Darius, the real animal lover to the extreme in this family, but Foxy will need to know where I am and like follow me around. It's like there's, like you talk about, Melanie, the pheromones or the scent. It's like she senses that I am related, that she senses something between us. And she sometimes will just, she needs that affection that has to be from me. And so it's wild. And so I'll walk around with her sometime and we just talk to him. We'll talk to him together because she's looking. But, having watched her go through that, and it's like now he gave me a gift because now I can grieve with Foxy.
Right. And you didn't even know at the time, where you're like, oh, I don't know. And then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. We said, we don't want this yappy little thing, to be truthful. We're like, this yappy little thing. And you know what? She's not been like that here. And we think about what her life, he had cancer for a long time. And think about what the end of that, in and out of hospitals and his work schedule and everything. So for her, what was that like? The chaos of that and everything of that. And it's like she got here and she just it was like, and so I would work energy around her, constantly working energy, because I would go to touch her and she likes to, it's a Pomeranian thing, I think, where they turn upside down, they go like this with their feet, and and then you stop petting them and then you're like, what are you doing again? But I can kinetically feel, like the energy has now shifted. But when we first got her, it was like literally on my fingertips. I could feel it. And like I was just pulling back the energy from her. And in some ways, she's just a different dog than she was when we brought her here.
Yeah. Well, and she was probably fully aware of his cancer coming on. So that would be a stress. It could very well have been yappy to try to tell him, let him know, you know what I mean? Because what could she do? But she'd probably be aware of what's coming.
And all the people coming into the house, she would, it was just too much on her little system. And,
they know when things are different, just like babies, just like kids know when things are different,
Yeah.
And they know when we're sick.
Yeah.
They know when we're, like they know when we're ovulating. You know what I mean? We smell it. Have hormones. Our hormones smell different. Our pheromones, you know what I mean? Those are things that are so natural for them that we're like, oh yeah, they might smell, like it's not like, smelling an odor like an armpit or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have these
Please.
sensory gifts that give them information
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we are just not privy to,
So
And that's why it's so important for us to acknowledge when there is something going on in the home like this, an illness, or, someone's getting close to the end, for us to be aware of the impact on the animals,
Absolutely.
to be tuned into that. And if you are receiving an animal from someone who has crossed over, to really be sensitive to that and to be aware, number one, the person's coming back. They're going to visit that animal. There's a connection there. And to, just be tuned into it, because just like it takes us a while to adjust and to grieve, the animals are grieving too.
And I see a lot of
Absolutely.
times when I am giving readings, they'll be like, so do you see a dog with Uncle Joe? And I'll be like, oh yeah, there he is. He's like this big fluffy blah, blah, blah. And they'll be like, oh my God, that's, whatever. And I love that they are so willing to like be with their, just kind of like whenever I do readings, and like if I'll see like an older couple and they'll be holding hands, and that's kind of my sign for there was never, I mean, they were like close. I mean, they're, sometimes like you'll just see grandma there, but you won't see grandpa, so you know that there was something not right, so sometimes you'll see that, but it's the same thing as like, when you see a dog and it's his person, I just love that. I love that, but it's funny because I don't want to say I was brought up thinking this, because I remember, my mother is always right here whenever I'm doing any type of talks or anything, right? So my mother is here, and I just asked her if it was okay for me to tell the story, and she said yes. So my mom, like, she couldn't understand a lot about my mediumship, but she couldn't understand why I would want to talk to a dog, because she was brought, and then just wait though, before you judge her. Sorry, my mom was like, Lori, hurry up. So, but she was brought up that they don't have souls. That was Catholic. That's a Catholic thing. They don't have souls. So I'm just like, so now it's like, when I would talk to her about like, animals and like my animals, because we never had animals growing up. I had a turtle when I was a kid, and the turtle died. So what are you gonna do? No, but I mean, that was it. We never had animals, but then I get married and we start having dogs and the thing and what all, and it's so interesting because it was like I don't want to say I had to teach her, but she had to like kind of relearn it, because she was brought up to think that her whole life, but now she gets it. So that's why she let me tell you the story.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so nice though, because it's nice that she relearned it, because like I actively tell myself to listen to my kids, like, because I learn so much from them. They teach me every day. So I love that. But we've always, like, growing up, we always had animals, and I don't know, I just was always connected.
And that, did you have animals growing up?
Oh, we had so many animals growing up. At the same time, we had a cat, a big black cat that most people were afraid of just because he was black, and his name was Lucky.
I love that.
and we had a black rabbit. His name was Jetty. And we had German Shepherd dog. We had I don't even know, with the little dogs with all the fluffy hair. I don't even know what kind of dog, because
a poodle.
I don't even. We get our animals from so many different places, but he looked like a little panda bear, so his name was Panda. And we just all our whole lives we grew up with animals. Like, it was like something was wrong in the house if there weren't animals there. They were just a part of our growing up. They were part of our family.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
That's so special.
Now, do you guys find, when you think about your family and that there's one child or like either one of your siblings or one of your own kids that the animals are the most drawn to, that there's one in particular, it could have been you, that like is the most tuned in, the most aware, that the animals are the most attracted to?
God, I don't even know.
I didn't have animals when I was a kid.
Oh,
So
you didn't have any animals but a turtle. I think that so I have a big family. I think that different animals were drawn to different kids.
There you go. Okay.
So it depended on the animal who would make a connection with whatever animal. So I would say yes, but I wouldn't be like, there's a couple I could pinpoint, but then there's also dogs that were my favorite that my brother thought was his, and it wasn't. You know what I mean? You know, like, but yeah, I think about all the dogs that I grew up with, and I'm like, good Lord, they should have eaten my face off. You know, they're so patient. They just, you know, I'm always grateful because I was just, you know, I was an active child, and we used to have this German Shepherd, and I always boop her nose, and she hated it. Like, I knew she hated it, but she never ever did anything to me or towards me, and I knew she hated it, and I'm like, why did I keep doing that? You know, as a kid, like I was very young, but you know, I'm like, she could have chewed my face off in a hot second, and she never did.
So you know what I loved about my dog Clifford was he was just a lug. Like he was truly, I don't even really know what that means, but to me that was like he was just here and he was like pure love, you know? But he wasn't the smartest tool in the shed. Like if we let him outside, he could have gotten easily run over because he would just like run alongside a car and you know, just like, here I am. Okay, I'm here. And that was, you know, and it just amazes me to think back, you know, but I'm thinking that through. And it's interesting because you were talking about was one more drawn to the other? Well, when we got Clifford, my daughter was 4 and it was supposed to be her dog, but you know, who's going to feed it? Who's going to walk it? You know what I mean? So he was my dog and I felt so guilty about that.
Where the food comes from always makes a difference.
Now, birds. You know, we haven't talked about birds.
Yeah. I have a bird.
And
I have a.
This is
Hello.
There's the puppy. Oh, puppy.
Oh, look, she has lettuce.
She's got lettuce in her mouth.
Oh, it was a seed.
Oh my gosh.
Just kidding.
She's so cute.
Animal talking. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
Go ahead. What about the birds?
Birds. No, think about if you know anyone who's had birds. Now because people I know who have birds really become super connected with these birds. It's like this amazing thing. Now, I'm not really a bird person, but the people I do know in my family who, when it's like something between them and these birds is quite amazing. I don't know, Melanie, if you've ever read for someone who has a bird, if you've ever communicated for someone with a bird.
No, I have not. I have communicated with the bird and told it to put down the baby bird it was carrying, which it did. But in my yard, there was a bird holding a baby bird. I think I told that story. But no, I haven't read for anyone with a bird. No. I love birds though. I feel like my spirit animal should be a bird. That's how much I love them.
Aww.
But sadly, I don't think that it is. I don't know what my spirit.
We have a lovebird, and we actually had 2 lovebirds, and you don't, unless you get them genetically tested, you don't really know male or female. But we always insisted that the one was a boy and the one was a girl. The girl was not a happy camper. She was not. We had to give her away to another home because it was like Louis, our one that we still have. He's like la la la. He's very loud. He's like me, just very loud and blah 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 blah. You know. But when the 2 birds were together, we had to separate them. Who knew you had to separate lovebirds?
Oh,
Love each other.
Makes sense to me. No. But you think about, certain birds, like some of the bigger ones that live like 50 some years, and think about that. And so they're able to, the words that they pick up and those sort of things. And so the communication after they're passed with their owner, because you might be looking at like a family of owners, right? You may be looking at, the way it is, because if this bird's living like 50 years or something like that, this may be generational. And so it's very a fascinating thought to think about the communication with an animal that lives that long and what they have to say, or, from the other side or even on this side.
right. And the knowledge that their soul picks up throughout its that one lifetime with so many family members. Could you even imagine how much they know? Like,
yeah. Now, if you ever wish to give it a try, Melanie, my sister does have I think they're called a gray. It's something gray. So she has one of those big ones. So if you're ever willing to give it a try, the family before it's got some choice words. It definitely has an interesting vocabulary. So you might have a blast.
Does one of them start with an F?
Yes.
That's what I put in my head. I was like, oh, all right.
That's hilarious. Oh my God. So we're still taking questions. I had a friend who she just recently lost a dog, and I thought for sure she was gonna like type in, okay, I'm here. Do you, kind of thing, but we haven't seen her. So if anybody has any questions or, whatever, text us. We have a couple more minutes. So bring it on. And just so you know, the reason why we all know each other, I think that's true, actually. The reason why we all know each other is because we are part of a new website app called Evolvme.com. So it's EVOLVME.com. And it is like your one-stop shop for all things metaphysical. And it is in the beta version right now. And the full version is getting rolled out really soon. So check it out. We'd love for you to check it out. So
absolutely.
If anybody has any questions, post it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take your questions. Bobby, God. Sorry, my cat.
Lori,
can see grand cat.
You can see Facebook, right, Lori? So you can see when questions come on Facebook. Is that right?
No, not the Evolvme Facebook. But I can try.
Well, it comes through the other chat thing, I think. So I think
I never like that doesn't work for me. I don't know why. But okay, so I'm looking at that now, and there's no. Okay, so I'm on there now. Great. There's no questions, and I can see YouTube.
So earlier when we were talking, you had mentioned your friend, and LA. You said she was wondering what happens when our animals die. I can tell you that. Oh. Do animals reincarnate? We did talk about that. That was one of the questions. Do animals reincarnate? Yes. And they will come back to you as another animal frequently. I believe it's actually very frequently, because they're so tied to us. They will come back in your next animal or in an animal that comes to you. Like, yes, that's for sure. LA, your friend was saying, like, what happens when animals die? Like, how does that work? Like, again, I can't say exactly what happens, but I will say that when animals pass, like, they don't. Humans, we hold on. We want to hold on. My kids, my husband, my wife, my family. Like, we want to hold on our lives. Animals, it's death is much more natural to them, and so when you are worried about your animal and you're like, oh God, I had to put them down, which is always awful, but usually the right decision if they're sick, if they're in pain, like, they're hard decisions we make, and it's necessary because we're their advocates. Your responsibility is to be their advocate, and if they're in pain and there's nothing that you can do anymore, and it's time, you kind of know when it's time. So people feel really bad about that. I get that, but there's that factor of pet ownership that's part of
Yeah.
it. Animals, when they pass, in my opinion, they're aware that it's coming. I believe that they know
Yeah.
more than we do, like about that type of thing. But they pass a lot easier. Um, talking about acceptance, they let go easier. They accept that this is their time.
Yeah.
Where like a human spirit would more likely want to hang on to our physical life, like we're not, we have our physical brain that, our human brain, what's going to happen, what happens when I die, I don't know, like what if this is true, what if this isn't true, what if I'm going to hell, what if I, all these things that
Yeah.
kind of tether us to the earthly plane, when if we just let go, we'd realize how amazing it is. Animals release a lot easier. They cut that tether and they're more easily,
That's so
so when
amazing. I never thought about it that way before. We're so worried about our family, and we're worried about, how much is everything going to cost after I die, and is is all of our details situated, but animals don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, what am I leaving my family with? Have I done everything that I want to do? Like, oh, I wanted to do so many things. Like we have all these human thoughts
Yeah.
about plane, and just animals, they really are able to let go easier.
Yeah.
So if you're in that position, if it's coming up, if you've been in that position, just understand that they're aware, and first of all, they know what's coming, and they know how difficult it is for you. And if you even look back on that time, you'd probably say they tried to make it easy on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just, I mean, they're so great.
Yeah.
No, I have to say though, so we have our cockapoo who is, she can't see and she can't
Oh,
hear,
bless her
but
heart.
yeah, right. And she's having a hard time. She can still walk, but it's getting harder for her. Now, our 5-year-old Labradoodle is like like this, right? And so it's time to go outside. So here they go. The Pomeranian just shoots out, and Stella has to take her time. And here comes Bria, the little brat, and she just plows through and just knocks Stella over. It's like, it's like she, so no sensitivity, but it is very funny. So so Stella was in much better shape when we got Bria. And so Bria looks at Stella like her mommy sort of thing. And so one of the things they've started doing when Bria was a puppy is Stella sits on the doggy pillow and Bria pulls her around the house on the doggy pillow. And so Bria still does that. She'll go up and pull it and pull her around. And Stella just lays there and just takes it as it goes. And we're going, do you know what that dog's doing to you right now?
No, they don't care. Oh God, I was gonna.
That's adorable. So when so we had our big guy Clifford for a while, and we decided to get the Beagle, who the love of my life. Like when his little face would like go into the water because he was a puppy, his like ears would fall in the water. Oh my God. So cute. That was like total cuteness alert, right? But we got him and we weren't sure how Clifford was going to go. We thought he would be okay or whatever. So we put them in this like space outside, like because we followed everything everybody told us to do. And this little baby, this little tiny beagle, like just looks up at Clifford, and Clifford's like this bigger guy, and all of a sudden the beagle, like they start making friends. Well, Lucky, the little beagle, didn't realize he just wanted to go to his mommy and like suckle. Clifford was a boy dog, so Lucky went to go try and get some water or some milk out. I'll never forget that as long as I live. Oh my God. Well, he made it was very clear, like, Clifford made it very clear, no, that's not what you do.
That is not how it is. Don't do that.
So funny. Oh my God. So funny. And dogs are like, any animal is funny. I just happen to have the most experience with dogs. You know.
Well, and this is it. You know, when I'm doing readings for people, and I'm sure you guys too, this is the joy of it.
Yeah.
This is the piece that, you know, when I'm like, I think it was just yesterday, or maybe it was today, I don't know. I was reading for someone recently, and I got this dog wrapped around the person's feet, and they were licking the feet. You know, it was like they were completely wrapped around and licking the feet. And now I'm just bringing it in. I'm not going to put in an interpretation on it. I'm just like,
You can't.
you know, here it is. This is the dog. I'm going to give you, to the best of my ability, what this dog looks like. And I don't know if this has happened to you guys, but then the dog shifts. It went from, so I must have been picking up two dogs. So I went from like this collie dog to suddenly this different dog that weighed like 20 pounds less. And you know, and it was like, oh wait, the dog just shifted. And so I'm going, okay, there must be more than one there, or a reincarnated dog. I never thought about that before, but it was right.
Like,
Yeah.
is that what it was?
Honestly, the reading, the person took it in another direction, so I didn't get to really take it and go down that journey too much because it was moving in another direction.
But that was how spirit was supposed to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You just got to follow it and say, oh, and here we go. And that was it. But it was, you know, it's hard. So when you're asking the medium for things, so it's like, you know, I say to you, okay, so this dog shows up and there's this dog and da da da. I explain it to you, and it's like, and then what happens is sometimes because we want more information, the person will like, okay, now is that the dog from? Are you talking about the dog from when I was 9? Are you talking about the dog when I was 18? And I'm like, well, I'm just going to tell you what the dog looks like, and that's the best I can do. And then, you know, I once got a question that said, so is this a dog coming into my future? You know, and yes, psychically we can go there. And it's like, so sometimes the dog is a prop to take us elsewhere, you know, to move us. And sometimes the dog is the center, or the cat or the bird or the pet or whatever. And I gotta tell you, flowers come in a lot. For some people, think about this, plants are just as important as pets. And when I will pick up that relationship that certain people have with their plants, think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Never thought of that before. That's interesting.
True. Oh my gosh, you made me think of I was doing a group reading for a friend, and like it's just so interesting. Like animals are they're just gonna tell it like it is. You know. I was doing this group reading and I had just kind of wrapped it up, and I was over my time, of course. And you know, I said, does anyone have any questions, you know, before we wrap up? And this girl is like, can you tell me, can you read a dog? And I was like, yeah, you know, does it look like this and this and this? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, well, I mean, can you like tell me anything about him? And I was like, okay. And all I saw was this scuffle, you know, like when a dog has something and they're like, ah, you know, and I said, did he kill a cat? And she goes, oh yeah, he killed a lot of cats.
Oh my God.
I said, because I'm seeing the scuffle and I'm seeing like his paws and I'm seeing like the back end of a cat. Whoa. And she's like, oh yeah, he used to kill cats all the time. Like we couldn't stop him. And I said, he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Like this dog was like, I don't care. I would get one right now if I had one. You know what I mean? And she was like, yeah, he did not care. Like he just would kill them, you know, and you know. So it's just funny because they just are what they are. Like this dog literally, he said, I don't care. I don't care. And I was like, okay.
I don't care. You know what I want.
Yeah. He's like, I want one right now. I want to kill it right now.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so.
But you know, it is. But you know, when back to the plants, I want you to think about, have you ever read and pulled in like that? So like, and I have several times, it's like, you know, Melanie, you communicate about animals. I will literally see the types of plants and the relationship a person has with them and be drawn to like roses. So like, let's talk about roses and that, you know, this person there's this relationship between with the plant and with the person, and you can feel that affection literally, or like, you know, I picked up like, recently I got one for herb garden. So I saw this woman with the herbs in the garden, but she is a medicine woman. So and this is in her relationship and the communication that happens with her in the plant beings, right? And so it's like, so not only with animal spirits, but also with plant spirits.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we don't talk about that, but the plant spirits have, you know, they are also able to communicate as well, and tree spirits as well.
Yeah.
I love that. Like that's really interesting that you say that, because I love nature. I have a million plants and they just don't ever stop growing. And I have like trees in my other room because they just are there. I love them. But it never occurred to me to actually like hone in on that. So like I may steal that from you, because like you're very much you're a shamanic practitioner. Like you're very much into nature, and which I love. But no, I have never thought about that. I will have to try to you know, work that in, or see if you know, maybe something will come up. That's so interesting.
And it really is, because in, you know, so like when we talk about, you have animal spirits around you, you also have plant spirits, and you have these things around you, and they do communicate. I mean, like I look over at Annette and I immediately see Annette, the plant spirits around you. And I, you know, that there is, and then you hone in closer and I can say, Annette, I smell lilac.
Oh my God.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yes, you are absolutely.
Yeah. In this beautiful relationship. And what I would say to you is the lilac tells me your connection with the fairy realm, your connection with like the sprite people, you know, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. And it's very much alive for you. This is not like, oh, here's a plant, let me clip. No, this is like you and that lilac, you have a relationship, and it's mutual.
You know, we need to take an episode of this and give readings. Don't you think?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We could do each other. We could, you know, we could give readings to the people that, you know, anybody that wants. We need to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. So the teaching here is, you know, that pay attention to like even yourself. What are the plants that, you know, that not only do our dogs love it when we give them a bone, but our plants love it when we give them love as well. And that is really important, that they are alive and that they have spirits. And that they, you know, they want their respect, doggone it. Why don't they get the same respect as the cat that goes and pees on them? What is this about?
My poor plants. As much as I complain about them, I love them, because they used to just die on me, and now they just grow. But to kind of wrap up, we've just been talking about a lot of animal communication. Just take a second, like when you're with your animal, like to just really try to connect with them and understand that they really do know more about you than you realize. They know what's coming for you. They know how you feel. They know if you're sick. They know if you have some issue going on. They know if you're medicated. Like they know so much more. And just, you know, take a second, you know, maybe tonight or tomorrow, and just give them a little bit more love and respect their knowledge, because it's so vast. It's more than we realize. So, you know, give them some love tonight, tomorrow, every day. They deserve it so much. They put up with us stupid humans.
Even if it's an animal who visits your yard often, and you know, and that sort of thing as well, and that it is that, and it's just yeah. I mean, some of us don't have pets, but we have animals that may frequent. You know, a cardinal. Think about the cardinal that always shows up when
We
your
have
bird
squirrels. I love this.
Yes,
Oh
and
my God.
you can send them love. You can if you just like it sounds silly, like in my world it's not, but it sounds silly. But if you just stand there and just really focus on your heart and their little heart, and just like try to make a connection of love to them, and you may see them react.
That's
Like they're very intuitive, and they feel you. So just go out there and talk to some trees, talk to some squirrels. Like I'm the weirdo that does that. Hey, Pat,
I love it.
We're all connected and we're all energy. So
Yes.
it's important. And remember, the catchword word "Aini" is reciprocity. What we give, we receive. And so, yes, and that is very much it. That's why I said, as a special ed teacher, I think my dogs the same way I think my students. It's like that constant praise,
Right.
and not the same praise. Good girl, I try to make it. Thank
I mean, it might work. But anyway, remember, we are all practitioners at Evolvme, and there's a ton of amazing practitioners, just a variety of things like Reiki, shamanic, mediums. There's just a ton. Healers.
So do we want to review what's coming up real quick before we go? Do you?
Well, you can talk about your show. We have we have Evolvme. We have Evolvme here, or I'm sorry, Evolving View here every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. I don't know where you guys are. Can't remember. But
Well,
come
it's
back
5
every
Pacific
Monday.
time, and then it's
5
8 Eastern.
Yeah. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. We are working out some kinks. We know it can be frustrating, but it's new. We're just working those out, and bear with us and find your way to us.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I have the full site launch July summit up. So I just wanted to read it for everybody. So
Absolutely.
what it says here is, come celebrate the dawn of a new age in spirit, in a spiritual community with us. After 8 months of beta testing, your supportive community for spiritual learning and metaphysical services awaits. Evolvme is kicking off our full site launch on July 18th with a summit series to get to know the community and the dedicated practitioners that have created it. And if you go on evolvme.com, you can read more about it, but that summit will begin July 18th. And so it goes 18, 19, 20, and it's free to see that. So check out the site, because there's going to be, and even after the full launch, there's still going to be more stuff coming. It's going to be like one-stop shopping for everything metaphysical. So yeah, it's going to be really cool.
A ton of workshops, there's classes, there's you can go on there and you can search for what you're looking for. You can search for specific practitioners, or just a subject that you want to learn about, and there's so many classes and things to just really try to understand spirit, your spiritual self, your energy, energy work. Like if you're just going through this weird awakening and you don't know what is happening, come to us. we can help.
I love it. That's great.
And then Thursday night we have the queer spiritual group, and really what that is it's a place for the lesbian, gay, LGBTQ plus, right, and it's a place for us to get together in two reasons. One is, first of all, a lot of people have trauma around religion or around how they connect with spirit, and that is not just queer people, but this particular group is focusing on that, because a lot of those traumas are being triggered right now, and so it's a safe space for us to talk about those, and to also share spiritual practices, and to assist each other to heal, as well as to have some good laughs with each other, and just a wonderful spiritual healing community. We are on the ground stages of that. We're on the ground floor, and I foresee that as we grow together, we're going to do amazing things to assist each other. But and so that is then. Annette, do you have anything, or is it your group, or did you postpone it till August? I can't remember what you said.
After the July launch, actually. Yes.
Sophia
The
code?
the Sophia Code Circle group. Yes.
Amazing. Do you know a date or a time on that, or it's just going to be after the launch?
It's going to be after the launch, and I haven't scheduled the dates yet.
Okay, so she's just dangling it in front of our face. I actually want to know more about the Sophia code,
Yeah.
so maybe I'll show
Yeah.
up.
Well, if you attend the launching summit, I'll be talking a lot more about it.
Oh, good.
Too.
Oh, great.
Who's interested?
That's good to know.
Great. I think that's a wrap.
Yes.
I think we did really good. This was fun.
This was fun and
Yeah.
knowledgeable. Like I learned a lot.
What did you
And
say?
I'm thinking next week we're going to talk about ghosts.
Yeah, ghosts versus spirits.
Ghosts versus spirits. I love that. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Our spirits ghosts. Like,
Yeah.
is that
This will be fun, and everybody's going to learn that we don't all think alike, or experience it alike. So this is going to be really cool, and so
Yeah.
and if I break out into song, the Ghostbusters, forgive me, it's my generation. Maybe I'll get my my pack on and my suit. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh my God. Maybe we should play that. We'll play that song. Who are you going to call?
Go up in costume? Yes, I'm in.
Wait, no. Wait. Who are you going to call? Evolve me.
I mean,
Right.
okay.
I need to go because I can't do this.
right.
I know.
That's right. All right. Love you all very much.
Thank you so
Good
much.
night.
Bye, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye.